So joining us now from Washington is Face the Nation moderator Don Dickerson, along with correspondent Nancy Cordes. Nancy, I want to start with you. Let's talk a little bit about Hillary Clinton. What's her final pitch like with 1 week before the Iowa caucuses? What is she saying, and who do you think she's trying to speak to and energize?
Her final pitch is remarkably similar to what her pitch has been the last few weeks, which is, I'm the one with experience. You can count on me. You know me. Yes, Bernie Sanders may have a lot of ideas that sound great, but I'm the one who can really execute. You'll also see her in this final week appearing with a lot of sort of traditionally liberal groups, women's groups. She was with NARAL over the weekend, with unions, environmental groups, reminding Democrats that while Bernie Sanders sort of has a lock on the affection of liberals right now, that she still does have their interests in mind. She just plain and simple isn't willing to go much further to the left, despite the fact that he's kind of caught fire there, because she's still kind of playing the long game, guys, and doesn't want to have to correct too much in a general election and head back towards the middle.
John, the polls show Sanders and Clinton neck in Iowa, a very tight race. We're a week out. The big question, whose followers will turn out to caucus? We see a lot of support behind Sanders from younger voters. Do they typically show up?
We'll find out in a week. You know, they both know how to build a ground game. They both were not surprised. Hillary Clinton was preparing in Iowa as if it were 2008, even before Bernie Sanders caught fire, for a number of reasons. Iowa was a state she hadn't done well in before. If she did well in Iowa, it would beat back some of these ideas that she wasn't willing to go out there and work and hustle. So she has tried to build, and her team has built, a strong ground game in Iowa. The younger supporters who love Bernie Sanders, the activists in the party, they're enthusiastic. They will get out to the caucuses. So it's really just a question of who turns out more. I think they're going to get all their voters. The question is just how big is that number for each of them?
And here's the interesting thing about younger voters, particularly in Iowa, guys, is that the Sanders campaign sort of has a model for how to get those voters out, because Barack Obama did it and sort of surprised everyone by doing it 8 years ago. Traditionally, younger voters are unreliable voters, but they did come out for Barack Obama. So at the end of last week, the Sanders campaign kind of put out a quirky video explaining to younger voters how the caucuses work. And they're even getting cars to drive college students in Iowa back to their hometown to vote, because they know that if they go to caucus in their hometowns, rather than if they're all concentrated in their college town, that their vote will actually have more of an impact. So this is a big part of their strategy in the week ahead.
So, Nancy, Hillary Clinton received the endorsement from the Des Moines Register. I'm wondering, though, in this environment where establishment has become a dirty word, does an endorsement from a traditional outlet like that newspaper, does it really make a difference? Will it improve her chances?
I think it makes more of a difference among Democratic voters. And I think the fact that she was endorsed not just by the biggest paper in Iowa this weekend, but also by the largest paper in New Hampshire, it reminds voters of the main reason that they like her, which is that she does have experience, that she's sort of this well-rounded candidate who has experience both on domestic policy and on foreign policy. And it sort of says to those voters, hey, you know, you may be newly infatuated with Senator Sanders. He's the bright, shiny object, as President Obama put it over the weekend. But Hillary Clinton is a known quantity. You know her and you like her. So, you know, if that even helps her with 5% of the Democratic electorate, that could be enough to put her over the top in Iowa.
All right. And John, we do want to ask you about former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. He may be considering an independent run. How would that impact the race?
Well, it depends. It depends when he gets in. It depends why he gets in. I think that culturally, he is more in sync with the Democratic Party. So you could imagine him taking or competing for Democratic votes. And by culturally, I really mean on the issues of, say, guns and same-sex marriage. There's no, he would, and he inflames lots of conservative Republicans. So he would be unlikely in a kind of big general context to take away from Republicans. You'd imagine him taking away more from Democrats, because if he were to run, the scenario would be that the nominees would be Trump and Sanders. And while there are a number of liberals who love Bernie Sanders, that portion of the party is smaller relative to all Democrats than the conservative portion is relative to all Republicans. So that's in the big picture. But once you get down to counting electoral votes, where Michael Bloomberg has to compete would basically be in all of those purple states. Well, the way it works in the Electoral College is Democrats have a much larger number of electoral votes kind of banked already in states that go blue, go for Democrats consistently. So Democrats only have to win a couple of those battleground states. Republicans have to win many more of them. And if Michael Bloomberg is competing in all of those purple states against the Republican candidate, it just creates more problems for Republicans once you get to the electoral map question. But that is so far down the road that it's almost fantastical to talk about it. There's a lot that has to happen. And Michael Bloomberg, to create the kind of campaign he wants to run, would have to create a brush fire of national enthusiasm, building on constant momentum to get 270 electoral votes. It's a very, very, very tough thing for him to do. And so even if he were to run, he may not even be a factor.
You know what? It may be fantastical, but I think about this entire journey now from beginning to end, and I think fantastic. I don't know what to label fantastical in this campaign season.
It would fit right in.
Yeah, exactly. John Dickerson and Nancy Cordes, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.